Mic check, idiots.
Check one.
Hello, all of us at once.
Yeah.
All right.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine.
Are we rolling on all of them, you think? All right, rad. I'm rolling here.
Sweet.
Did all you
Yes.
guys grow up here in San Diego?
Yeah.
Mostly, besides Jordan.
Mostly, but
You moved here later, Jordan?
yeah, I moved here when I was a teenager, like
Oh.
15 or 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know you're from Rancho Bernardo area, right?
Yes.
Or like
Yep.
PQ.
Yep.
And
Yep.
a couple of you guys are or no?
Yeah, you.
Okay, rad.
here.
That's where we're from.
Yeah,
That's what I remember. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We went to Mount Carmel. I remember one of you guys saying.
Yeah,
we're-
we
Oh.
went to Westview.
We went to
Westview, yeah.
My mom went to Mount
Yep.
Carmel, though.
Oh, she did?
nice. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Generations.
I know, man.
Yeah.
Quite a
Second generation PQ native.
Quite a school.
Yeah.
I'm a PQ transplant.
Oh, really?
I'm a PQ transient.
I don't have as much of a connection.
Oh, you grew up there?
Well, I grew up there, yeah. But
Seventh
I'm
grade
first
on?
gen, but I don't have roots like you.
Yeah.
Your mom
Yeah,
went to Mount Carmel.
fair.
Yeah.
We came in and we made this country better. But there were people there before us. And we have to respect that. Before the 56.
Right? I was
It's a
there.
Yeah, you used to have to drive out to the beach on the dirt road and the whole thing.
With
So.
your carriage.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was the old days.
Good times. So when did you pick up music? How did?
I started playing drums when I was like a kid, probably like 10, 11, 12, around that time. And after that, I got into this like music, like a school, not a music school. It was like a lessons place. And
okay.
they put kids in bands. I didn't take any lessons, but they put me in this band with other kids, and you did covers and all that stuff. But I was playing football at the time. I was playing Pop Warner football, so I chose football over that. And then once high school came around, that's when everything switched, and it was like, oh, I like music now. I'm not a sports guy, and I didn't. This is my size. I'm not going to be a football player in high school if I'm this tall. So I got into music pretty quickly and was playing drums for a while in a band, and then I wanted to start learning guitar, and it went all kind of. From there, guitar player, and and then the Frights started later on, about 2012. That was towards the end of high school, or actually the end of high school.
Yeah,
And
because
that's,
did
where
you
we're at.
finish? You guys all finished high school before you formed the Frights, or
Yeah,
were
we
you-
finished. We finished high school, and me and Richard were still in San Diego, going to community college, and so we started a band called the Otters. And then when one of our friends came back home for winter break or something, we decided to do a surf punk show.
Oh, okay.
And that was we got signed like right after that, so it kind of was just forced upon us in a weird way. But it was, we're grateful for it, but it just kind of happened. We never planned to do it, and we both were pretty set on going to school and stuff, but it just kind of happened. So that's how it starts, I guess. It was weird, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When did you start playing music?
Also pretty young. My mom bought me a keyboard for my birthday one year when I was really 5th or 6th birthday. And I would just kind of mess, but it wasn't, it's not like I was some kind of prodigy or anything. I just kind of messed around with it. And I think she saw that I was into it. So when I was in 5th grade, she bought me a guitar for Christmas.
Oh, cool.
And I just loved playing it and just used to play it all the time. And then met Mark in 7th grade. He and I started a band then. And
Wow. So you guys have been playing a long time now.
yeah,
7th
12
grade.
years.
Yeah.
Was
Yes,
that
we
Mesa
have.
Verde?
years.
Something like that.
I'm sorry?
Mesa Verde? Or
Yeah,
Correct.
Middle School.
Yes,
Look
yeah.
at that.
Miss
Oh,
Dempsey's
absolutely,
class.
Class of 2000.
Wow.
Thorough.
I taught myself how to lockpick in that class. I sat in the back of the room and she had a filing cabinet. And
Stuff
it
was stolen out of my
very boring.
locker a lot that year, and I never really figured it out. we didn't use lockers.
Wild.
The PE,
That's
yeah.
But yeah, so started a band with Mark, and we were a band all the way through the end of high school, and then Mark went to college.
Okay.
With his big brain, and our other friend Corey went to college with his gigantic brain, and Mikey and I were the only two left standing.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's absolutely. That's how it happened.
Well, how did you guys meet? Because you went to Rancho Bernardo,
Yeah, so
and you guys were at Westview.
We played
Yeah.
shows together. We played a couple shows, and he was dating this girl who went to my high school, and I was in drama class with her, and she was a handful. And she was
Drama
very
class.
fun. She was like the lead actress, and so she was always running stuff, and I was just like one of the guys that got to be in like the choir of the plays. So I would just come in like every once in a while and snap or something. I was really bad, but that's how I knew of him through that, and I knew of them through music, and
It's mutual friends.
yeah, mutual friends,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
more than anything, I was just playing random shows together. So we kind of got in touch once. And actually, it's funny because before Mark was in the band, like 3 years before Mark was in the band, me, him, and Mark jammed together.
Oh, really?
And this is before
Yeah.
the Frights we even thought. And I remember to this day, Mark was like, I think if you guys do something together, it'd be really special. And I'll always remember that. And I
I'm
was
so
like,
surprised you remember that.
yeah,
That's insane. I didn't think you did. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
totally.
just remembered it right now.
It
but
was very nice
Yeah.
moment
He
for
was
me.
right.
I was right.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
very, very special, obviously.
The implication of that, of course, is that I am also special in that.
Yeah.
No,
Definitely.
I remember that really well. I don't remember what kind of stuff we played.
It was,
I think like
yeah, I don't know either. It
I don't
was
know.
like,
but I do
kinda
remember
surf
feeling.
rocky.
What's up?
Kind of surf rocky. It was
Yeah.
like kind of what the Otters
Yeah.
being. It was like
There
that
an
style.
Otter song that came out of that jam.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sick jam session.
Yeah,
Where are my
it was
royalties,
great.
dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who was playing what at that time?
I was
'Cause
playing
you were-
drums,
Oh, okay, because
yeah.
Mike, you said you drummed.
I
Actually,
was, yeah.
all these guys are like really good drummers. It's really funny. Like Mikey's played Mikey's played drums in bands before. Jordan also has, and Richard like says he's not good, but he can totally like
play.
carry a beat really well. So it's great.
I
being
was
in a band.
ranked in rock band drums for The Camera Eye by Rush.
Oh yeah.
So worldwide ranked.
Just to give you a little.
Just to give you a little teaser of
Yeah, so that's where we're
Play
at.
the
it
scope
right
of my
now.
talent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
his
yeah,
ranking
absolutely.
is way higher than mine. So I mean, that shows you all you need to know, really.
That's funny.
Have you gotten any of your songs on there? That would be cool.
In rock band?
Yeah.
I wish,
I
man.
don't know.
I don't think we
even
have.
think so.
It's
Because
not
I remember,
as-
I thought I remember like the latest rock band did a thing where like you could look up like any
anything.
song. It was kind of like a
Yeah.
library of songs. So
Yeah.
it almost was like a Spotify thing. This is like 5 years ago last time I saw it. So
Yeah, you
I
can like
think
kinda
you're right. I
road.
think I remember.
you can
something
kind
like
of
that
look
as
up
well.
any song now.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
and then
the,
it'll just
the
kind
magic
of
is
I think
gone.
so.
figure out it's
I
Honey
don't
had
know.
a song in
Button
rock band, though.
combination.
Did they?
Yeah, Honey had a song in rock
Oh
band.
yeah, that's right.
The band we're on tour with right
Millionaires.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, our friends.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now I want to play.
I know.
Yeah.
Me too. It's a good time. It's very fun.
Years. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you pick up drums then, or was that the first instrument you played?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, only in the past like 2 years am I really seriously trying to learn other stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, thanks to these guys, I've been able to be an idiot for my entire musical life, which is great. But
awesome.
no, I started playing drums when I was like 10 or 11 years old. My childhood friend, this guy named Jack, he had a drum set, and I would like play it whenever I went over to his house, and then like. Soon after that, yeah, my parents, I remember going with them to a swap meet and like getting a drum kit, like one that was not very good at all, maybe like $20, but I had that thing for years. And then, me and Richard, like you said, we started playing music together and haven't really stopped ever since. And I'm really grateful that like I fell in love with it at a young age, so
Yeah.
I could practice and stuff. And like my parents like let us play in my bedroom for hours. Our neighborhood.
Shout out to Mark's parents.
Yeah,
They
shout out to my
man.
parents.
were
Dude.
instrumental.
And nice. And my
Pun
neighbor.
intended.
I want to give a shout out to like my direct neighbors from Penasquitos on Pathos Lane
Oh, there
for
you go.
dealing with the noise for years and years and years and years and years.
7 years.
Yeah. I
but
want to give
yeah.
a shout out to my neighbors for not and being
Oh my
complete
God.
fucking
Oh,
assholes
yeah.
about the entire
Night and day
situation.
difference, yeah.
Man.
We lived like 5 minutes from each other, but his neighbors, from what I understand, were not the best.
So often that we would close the garage. Me and him were doing a band thing, and we would close the garage. And there was one time where my brother was coming home from school or something. So I was like, "Oh, he'll be here any moment. He'll interrupt us or whatever." And just pounding on the garage door. And I was so annoyed, and I just went, what? And it was like, San Diego police. I was like, oh shit! I was so scared, dude.
It was your brother.
I was so
You're under
annoyed because we were in the
arrest.
middle of like some sick jam.
My favorite thing about that, one of my favorite things about that is how they had McCamey Manor, which was like relatively near that place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought it was really funny that like they can, McCamey Manor is right
Yeah.
there, but also they're calling the cops on these kids
Oh
like
my-
all the time.
Well, that was different neighborhood.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
actually no. What's funny
neighborhood.
is that's right down the street from where I grew up.
Oh,
My mom
no
lives
way.
on.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. We
Well,
live.
you gotta take that out of the.
I will.
Actually.
I will take it out because I'm about to drop my address
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
We
my
live
family
off-
doesn't live on Pathos anymore, so that's fine. I'll take that out.
We
Yeah,
live
I
off
was
of and.
I love that neighborhood so much.
Oh, it's
so
awesome.
nice.
The
Yeah.
McKinney Manor's not there anymore.
Yeah.
not.
No, it's
Tennessee
funny
now.
we're talking about that
Yeah.
though because we were just talking about this last night. There's supposed to be a Netflix or some kind of streaming show coming out about the new McCamey Manor.
It is. It's on.
and it's way more hardcore now. They like
Ye-
rip your fingernails out and shit.
Yeah, it's now it's insane. So
Yeah.
I just saw this. The guy that started it, he released like a 2-hour video.
Yeah.
and it's 30 minutes is him just walking about his yard and like talking about it, and then it's like an hour and a half of every person that's tried it that's failed, and them like saying why they
Yeah.
failed.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and he makes you do like a drug test and a physical,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and sign like this 50-page paper. And if you if you get through it, you get 20 grand.
Right, which is
Yeah, but
Crazy.
every time you cuss, he takes $500 off of it.
What?
Because he's like,
know that.
yeah, you can't cuss. It's insane. Like the guy is absolutely out of his mind.
Yo, that's the worst thing he does to you.
Just harassing you, and then if you swear, he's like, okay, $500 off the table, $500 off the table.
Wow.
I mean, you can imagine towards the end, he really doesn't want to give you money.
No.
So you can imagine toward the end, he just starts beating the shit out of you.
Yeah.
He's like, swear.
Jeez.
You owe him money when you leave.
Wow, that sucks, man. What a crazy guy.
yeah, sounds fun.
Awful.
If I somehow made it through, I would end up with like maybe $300 left. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything
would
about
never.
this, but
Sorry.
Yeah.
Jordan, welcome to the conversation.
It's a crazy
Yeah.
like haunted
putting
house
it together.
experience that you can like
Yeah, but they
sign up
torture
to
you.
go through, but it's practically torture. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds
they
great.
beat the shit out of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
had
they'll
me at
shave
fingernails
Your,
ripped
they'll
out.
shave your head. Yeah, it's nuts. The guy's like absolutely out of his
Psycho.
There is, or there was, it's probably still there. There is a list of like a waiting list of thousands of people.
Yeah, like people travel from all over the world to go attempt this. But yeah,
Wow.
anyway.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side to side.
After
you know.
this,
Yeah.
guess where we're going?
Yeah.
It's you.
The house is still there, but they
Well,
gutted
It is,
it.
yeah.
And they like,
Yep.
Beautiful
yeah.
now.
You gotta
Yep.
sage that place.
Big time.
Cool. All right, Jordan. So where you moved to San Diego in your teens? You said.
yeah, I moved here when I was like 15, 16. My dad was in the Navy,
Oh, okay.
so that's how I ended up here. I moved around every couple years. Yeah, my dad was a drummer, so
Oh, cool.
I always had a drum set in the house. He didn't really like push it on me or anything, but naturally, I feel like I just kind of
Picked it up.
started. Yeah, picking at it, and that was my first instrument for years. I started playing in bands, playing drums, and ironically enough,
here in town in San Diego.
well,
Okay.
I played in a few little imaginary, I'd say like 7th grade bands where we'd have practice and maybe
Where-
play the talent show or something. But
What part of where were you living then when you first started playing with people?
Connecticut.
Oh,
I was
okay.
living in Groton, Connecticut.
Cool.
This little Navy town.
Yeah.
And then I moved out here, and I immediately met this guy, Jacob Turnbloom, who I started playing drums with him in a band. And ironically enough, years later, we were in a band called Mrs. Magician, and that's how these guys came on my radar because
Okay.
our guitar player recorded their first record. So he was naturally
Yeah.
just kind of talking about it in our rehearsal space at the time. So
Wow.
it was kind of cool.
Oh,
We
you
were-
guys used to rehearse at
yeah, that
SDRL?
was our rehearsal spot.
That's
so,
cool. Huh.
Yeah, so he was like, "Oh yeah, you should hear these kids.
They fucking suck. They really. You're not gonna believe
He's like,
this.
we did this whole record live. Like these kids, yeah, suck." And I was like, I listened to it and I was like, "Oh yeah, don't
They
ever
do
play
suck.
that for
Yeah,
me
well.
again."
And now look, now you're playing it.
Yeah, but no, it's
been
kind of funny.
downhill.
Yeah, like just slowly, like, yeah, met those guys. I think we played one show, like a
Miss Magician? At the
Griffin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the Griffin in
We
San
were
Diego.
together to hang out.
Or no?
Yeah, it's in San Diego.
Oh, no, but with
it
you
was-
guys, with the Frights and
The Frights and
Mrs.
Mrs.
And Mrs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Magician.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And that's how I just first obviously saw them live. And
Yeah.
And then Man, I played in a bunch of different bands at the time, but I had another band called the Soaks, and we happened to sign with the label that put out the first few Frights records.
The EPs?
Yeah.
Or
The EPs and the self-titled, it was on Postmark Records.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yep.
So then through that, just naturally ended up going on tour with them, opening for them. The Soaks opened for the Frights.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And then I got a call
Yeah.
right after that tour, and I did the next tour with them.
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
3
really
years ago.
cool. Yeah.
Super nice.
Wow.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
still trying them out. Hopefully,
On thin
makes
ice.
the cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys signed a Postmark, and you said it was like a accident. I mean, not an accident, but like it was.
Yeah, we
kind of-
played that show at Soma, and we walked outside, and he was outside, and he was like, "Hey, I started this label. You want to sign?" And we were like, "Well, we got to go home and talk to our parents, and we'll let you know." So we
Good.
went home and thought about it, and 3 days later, we signed the piece of paper, and yeah, that was what released the first 2 EPs, then the self-titled, and then a couple singles, and then 7 inches and all that stuff, and then You Gonna Hate This, we signed so Postmark Records, yes, was signed. Like, we walked outside after the first show, we had no like want or idea of keeping it a band at all. It was just a fun thing to do, and we
yeah.
wrote a bunch of shitty songs, probably 2 covers and 7 originals, and walked out, and he was like, "Hey." So that was how it went. It was
Yeah, but you must
really
have
weird.
Blown his mind if he was like,
Must
oh
have
my,
blown.
yeah.
The story I heard is there was a guy inside, a friend, this guy Vaughn, called Joe, and he was inside. He was like, "Dude, you gotta come see this band." And he went in and saw us, and I'm sure we sound like complete shit, but for some reason he was into it, and yeah, that was how it went. So he didn't actually see us. He just trusted whoever told him that, and was like, "All right, let's talk."
Did you
Cool.
not come? I think you cut the last couple songs, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
That's
Yeah,
what he
probably.
said.
Yeah, probably. That's what he said. Yeah, yeah. But who knows? There was 3
Still
people in
signed
the
us.
crowd. There was nobody there, so it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was probably interesting to see for him. If I would have saw us at that time, I probably would have said, "Let's not do this at all." I don't know what he thought, but thank God he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, were you once he signed you, were you guys going out on the road at that point, or were you just kind of staying local
No.
here?
We did go out on the road pretty soon after, though. Like
Yeah,
6 months after.
Not even. I guess actually, yeah. So in March there was that kids tour.
Oh, was that in March, or I thought it was in June?
Oh, maybe. I don't remember.
Either way,
honestly.
That was
That was
you're
no,
talking
you're right.
about-
That was a
you're talking
summer
about the
tour.
one-
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a tour in June. So I guess like 6 months after that
Yeah.
happened. But it was a tour, if you could call it that. It was like either the smallest DIY venues you could possibly think of, or like someone's house.
Oh, okay.
It was like sleeping in the van every single night. It was like kind of earning our
Yeah.
stripes in
It's
a
like
way.
boot
Sure,
camp.
yeah.
At the time, I was not in the band, but the guys asked me to come along and make to hang out and make a documentary.
Oh,
about it,
really?
And I did, and so like I got to before about a year before I joined the band, I got to like go on the road, and at the time, looking back, it's like we were literally paid in spaghetti one night. You know, we had to
Sure, we were,
rotate
yeah.
who was going to pay gas, like crashed in the van
Yeah,
in
it
the
sucks.
Walmart
Yeah.
parking lot. But it did in retrospect. But at the time, it was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
ever. And like it was. Yeah, there's a lot of like
You're
soft,
riding
soft
such a
memories
high,
on
it
that. Yeah.
doesn't-
Yeah.
Totally. I was 18, 19, something like that. I had no idea what to do, and like I came back to visit because I was going to school in Boston. And I was
Okay.
like, wow, this is something cool. And then like a year later, that happened. But like seeing these guys, because they had played. That was the first time they had like done like an actual tour, but they were playing pretty regularly, like in San Diego.
Oh, we played our asses off for the first
Okay.
like 2 years.
So
we played
it's not
like
it's
I
not like
think
we just immediately went on tour. Like they were
100
Yeah,
shows
yeah,
a year
yeah,
type of thing. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a lot. We played every single bar 10 times, every single
Sure.
venue. Yeah, we
Sometimes
just played our
twice a
asses off.
night.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then
We-
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say there's a couple times where we do like we play a set at Soma at like 6 p.m. And then have a set in Temecula at the Dial at 8:30.
Oh wow.
And have to like
That's rough.
double
Yeah.
headers.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. Did you ever do anything with that footage, like the documentary footage?
Oh yeah, it's
It's not on YouTube. Do not look. Nobody
I
look
have,
this up.
I have plans to
God.
make something out of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
Is that what you were going to school for?
Yeah, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
No, it was really cool. I ended up using some of that footage for a separate like project kind of thing, a bigger thing.
I don't remember signing off on that.
I made negative $50. So if you want
My likeness is in that.
to, not publicly released to 10 people in my class, but it was funny. I did end up using that later.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, I totally forgot about that until right now. Yeah.
What was your first experience, Jordan, touring?
Oh man, I was probably around the same age. It was kind of a long time ago, but I was 18 years old, and I was in my first band, and we booked it all ourselves, just calling people up.
Yeah.
Like I'm old, so it was kind of crazy. We would like call people, leave messages, they'd call us back, and we hopped into a van and we did like 2 weeks or something like that on the road. We went up to like Portland and down to
Was that with Mrs. Magician or no?
it was no, it was
Okay,
just
that was later.
early obscure band. It wouldn't even be worth mentioning, but
What was it?
Hot Like a Robot?
yeah, this would have been hot.
It was Hot Like a Robot.
I remember that band.
Yeah.
Hot Like a
I love
Robot,
that band.
Yeah.
I love
My
it so
high school
much.
band. I started that band in high school.
That's awesome.
Jordan is so bashful about his bands, which we genuinely love.
Yeah.
Been in a
'cause
lot of bands, so it would be really confusing to just go down the
But
list.
Hot Like a Robot and Mrs. Magician are two like notable bands in San Diego.
Both went platinum, I think.
Multi-platinum.
San Diego Platinum.
I just do this for
Yeah.
fun. I mean, I
San Diego
just
Music
go home
Awards
to my
platinum?
mansion and my Shark Tank.
That's amazing.
But yeah, kind of the same thing they did. We hopped in a van. Oh man, our van had no luck. You couldn't lock the doors. You could start the van without a key. You would just turn
the thing.
Turn the ignition thing. So obviously we slept in the van. Yeah. And just would like get a pallet of SpaghettiOs and just a can opener. And drink it for dinner at a rest stop.
That's my favorite.
Nice.
And that was dinner. Usually the money we had would be like food or a cube of Pabst. And Pabst would always win. But we were riding such a high. I mean, I was just happy to crash out in the van and just be in a new place. I mean, you're riding such a high.
So
It's
many
incredible.
good memories of that shitty experience.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're all positive.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I can't really recall anything where I'm like, I wouldn't do that again. Like,
No.
I mean, I wouldn't do it now, but if I was, 18, I'd recommend it to anybody.
yeah,
Absolutely.
totally.
That's a cool. So from Postmark, you guys signed to Dangerbird, right? And then how did that happen?
We started doing You're Gonna Hate This with Zach. He was recording it.
Yeah.
And he had a friend who worked at Dangerbird, Aaron Espinoza, and he was the A&R guy there. He had just started working there. He was in this band called Early Mart, and kind of that, they were in a bit with Granddaddy. It's like that whole scene. It was kind of like synth rock, I guess, kind of in a way. They use a lot of that kind of. But anyways, that was his friend, and as we were finishing the record, he was like talking to people, trying to pitch it around for us, like do us a favor. And Dangerbird was the only ones into it, so it was really kind of nothing really exciting about it. It was just like they were like, yeah, we'll do it. Absolutely, sounds great.
Was that like a bigger moment for you guys than the Postmark?
Yeah,
signing?
no, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because I mean, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it was big because you had Zach, who it was like one of our heroes at the time, like showing us, hey, he gives a shit, and that was exciting. And then on top of that, now we're signed to a label in LA, which was like, oh, LA, this must be a big deal.
Pickups are on the label.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like,
No, totally.
Yeah.
So it definitely was more exciting, just knowing that this was a little more of a real label, in a sense, and there are actually like possibilities for what they can do for us and all that stuff. And they did great for us, and obviously now we've moved on, but still, they killed it for the time we were there. So I had no complaints about that label at all.
Yeah, that's cool. And how did you guys get together with Zach from Fiddler? Was that like were you guys friends with him before?
No, I emailed him thousands of times asking to go take us on tour and stuff in the first couple of years, and we ended up going to see him at M Theory, and super like old school style, which is so funny because I just brought him burnt CD of one of our EPs, and I just wrote the Frights for sure on it and gave it to him, and I thank God he listened to it, because I think about the amount of times that we've had people give us CDs, and know where those
Roadside
are now.
Records?
Yeah.
Immediately signed a
We
Roadside
always sign them
Records.
to Roadside Records. I'm just kidding. We don't do that. We had a tour
Our
manager,
tour manager.
who told us this story. And
Yeah, our
it's
tour
funny.
manager
We think it's
Dante,
really funny.
he used to say whenever he was on tour, he would get kids that would be like, "Hey, can you give this to the band you're on tour?" And he's like, "Oh, sure." And then they get in the van, throw out the side of the window, and it's called Roadside Records.
He'd be like, he'd get the CD and be
Yeah.
like, definitely gonna sign these guys.
Yeah.
Like, not even listen to it yet. We're like, yeah, it's
No,
pretty funny.
We were never
Yeah.
that mean about it. But
They
still,
sat in
it's
the
just
van
Yeah, I
before
was
we threw
gonna,
them
we
out.
just let him, we just
Yeah.
let him
They just
keep
sent
them all the way back home.
for years.
Yeah.
But Zach was nice enough to listen to it, albeit he did tell me how shitty they sounded. But he eventually got back to us and was like, "Hey man, like let's do a song." And it started off as a song, and then it ended up becoming a record. And luckily it did, because that, I don't know, without that I don't think we would. I mean, I know for sure we wouldn't be here now. So it was definitely a step up. It was a since the beginning it's just been one weird step after the other, and that was our first major step, I think.
And he produced the whole record before you guys even signed to Danger Bird. They just
Yeah, no,
yeah, that's right.
So
They bought
Postmark
the
paid
record.
for the whole thing,
Oh, wow.
and then Postmark sold it to Danger Bird.
Okay.
As far as I remember,
Yeah, that's right.
I think it was like $5,000 we paid for that record, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
Bargain.
yeah. It was
for sure.
great. Yeah, super awesome.
Now you guys are on Epitaph, right?
That's right. That's correct.
That's
That's like real,
that's
now
so
it's like real deal
awesome.
stuff.
I mean,
Yeah.
But I mean, let's be real. I mean, that
No,
that
that
must
was
have
mind-blowing.
been how did you guys get approached by Epitaph?
It was. How did we get approached by Epitaph? I don't remember.
It's a mystery to this day.
One day the contract
We don't even
just
know
showed
if
up.
Epitaph really exists.
I don't know if they know we're signed to them.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
They are
kidding.
aware.
I honestly,
I think our our booking agent knew the A&R guy at Epitaph, and we had spent
Oh,
a
I
few
think you're
years.
right. Yes, you're right.
We'd
Yeah.
spent a few years touring, and kind of growing a fan base over a number of years and whatnot. But I don't really remember how the actual introduction was made.
I think that was
or
actually.
what.
I think Chris Foytel came to a show.
Oh yeah.
through-
The El Rey.
Yeah, he came to the El Rey show. We did a Valentine's Day show a couple years ago, and he came to that show.
That's right.
And we met him, and then soon after that, they sent us an offer or whatever, and that makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that
sounds
offer,
That offer.
It took. They have been talking to us for a little bit, but we didn't officially sign with them until we were almost done making Hypochondriac, the third
Oh, yeah,
full
yeah.
length. So it came together in the end, kind of late in the process. But I mean, they were very the whole time they were just very very calmly like, hey, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna get done. We're super excited, and they've been that way ever since.
Oh, so you guys. So same thing again. You guys they didn't sign you, and then you cut a record for them.
We had a verbal agreement.
Yeah.
We just
Oh, okay.
what we were saying is that we didn't have we didn't physically sign the piece of paper until towards the end of the recording process.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
It
see,
wasn't
yeah.
like we were signed. We just they were
Sure.
so cool that they didn't
It-
get around to making us sign shit until
It wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they weren't worried about us bailing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It
They were
was-
just like,
yeah.
they're down. We'll just give
their
them time.
Epitaph,
would-
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we had no intent of not signing with them. So it was like as soon as we got the paper, it was all said and done. And now, we've been signed for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were those the bands on Epitaph? Are those the bands that you guys were looking up to as kids? I mean, because I know personally that's the stuff.
I'll say individually we all have kind of different tastes, obviously,
Okay.
but for me, not really. No, I
Really?
respected them for obviously a lot of bands they have on there are just ridiculously successful
Sure.
and just really innovative in what they do. But there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that I could directly compare our band with.
Yeah.
So that's what made it really and continues to make it a really cool relationship because
Sure.
they have been consistently for the past 10, 15 years really taking a lot of leaps with bands that they've been signing. I remember before we had started talking to them, or around the same time, we did a tour at the Garden. And if you've heard the Garden, you know
Yeah.
how weird they are and all
Sure.
that stuff. And I just kept thinking hey, if these guys can let the Garden do their thing, because they're really out there, then that's kind of a it's kind of a cool sign.
Yeah.
They have there's a bunch of artists that like come and pass through Epitaph that they've put out either like back catalog stuff that I think is really awesome, or like they put out all Elliott Smith stuff.
Yeah.
They put out like their sister,
Tom
Tom
Waits.
Waits.
Yeah, which is rad
Yeah.
because they're so associated with just like Bad Religion.
Yeah.
No offense.
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
totally. It's
But they've
it's
done
it's
more
cool.
work than that,
Right,
yeah.
right. Sure.
That shows to me a label that really cares about music as opposed to like what they're trying to sell. Because
Absolutely.
I know for sure, Brett, and I know when dealing with them and him in what we're trying to put out next and all this stuff, that he is like the most open dude in the world. And it's and I'm sure Honey on this tour as well, they can attest to that too. They're on the same label and they are just like whatever the artist wants to do, they're not going to push you. They're going to say, hey, if you want to do this, it'd be cool, but if not, I'm not, because he's a band dude. He's been in fucking Bad Religion.
Yeah.
You know,
For being such a
80s.
Yeah.
like they're the biggest independent label I think on
Yeah.
earth.
Yeah.
They're,
so
they're
too.
like,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
for that,
I
like
think Fat
they-
Records is the only
On
second.
Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. And
yeah.
But just, I mean, for being such a gigantic label with so much success, they are like shockingly cool with like they're
Yeah, oh
very
my
easy to work.
gosh,
They're
yeah.
very like artistically minded label, which is
Yeah.
Yeah, big
I
time.
feel like most people wouldn't expect from a label of their size. It's really
Yeah,
really awesome. I love those guys.
They really like. Yeah, I mean, it's so. I don't want to say unexpected, because at no point in dealing with them have we ever felt like, oh, like this is what a typical label would
Right.
do, you know? But like they have been just. I'm just always so happy with how much like they really trust in us, and
Sure.
like how and like Mikey's saying, they'll make suggestions, but they won't like
Push it on you.
insist on anything, and they're just
Yeah.
like they're letting us. Like grow and like keep doing keep trying new stuff, and it's really really cool.
That is awesome because they're essentially, I mean, realistically, if you look at them like, compared to a major, they're pretty much a major label.
They're
I
a
mean,
major indie. Yeah, they're the major indie. Yeah.
So if I was in a band, I mean, I would worry that if I signed to a major, you put a record out and then they could just shelve you,
Yeah.
or they could just, we're going to worry about Ariana Grande or whoever their big
No,
artists
totally.
are. Like,
Sure.
Well, I think
that's
that
rad
happens.
that they know that. I mean, that being a label of that size, they're still like
Yeah.
so cool with you guys doing whatever
Yeah.
Sure.
you
Yeah,
want.
it's
They
awesome.
trust
Well,
you guys.
I think like the idea of maybe 5 years ago, the idea of if the Frights were ever approached by Warner Records and they're like, "Hey, we would love to sign you," I would shit my pants at the time. I'd be like, "This is
Yeah.
amazing, absolutely." But looking at that now, if you're a rock band signed to Warner Records, they don't give a fuck about you. Like
Right.
they don't care at all.
They don't
about,
have to care.
No, they don't because they have some. They don't. You're just like a little speck that's not going to matter at all because they barely even know who you are in the first place. You're just there to kind of keep up their cred.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, we signed rock bands. They're just I don't know, doing whatever they do.
Yeah.
They're doing rock
Yeah.
band
Yeah,
things.
in between Ariana Grande and Imagine Dragons, they do some stuff too. I don't know. It's like guitar stuff. Who knows? So I like with Epitaph and labels like Epitaph, they know everybody on the label and they stay on a personal level. And the owner, like Brett, the owner of the label, who I would never expect to see in any other situation, is constantly at every single meeting, always talking to us about everything that he feels, and it's not like translated through 3 different like assistants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's amazing. I'm so stoked, and I hope they don't drop us one day.
Yeah.
So
Does Brett go to the? Have you guys? Has he been in the studio with you guys?
yes,
He's
Yeah,
Because
he
I've
came
heard
by.
that he's pretty cool. Like he'll come in and work with the bands. That
No, he
Oh, sure,
came
yeah.
into the studio towards the end of recording Hypochondriac and sat there, and that was nerve wracking as hell because we
Yeah.
had just signed. And he just kind of sitting there listening, and then a song would finish, he'd be like, "That's really cool."
you can't read him at all.
no, he's I was like, hey, "Did you like it?" Or
Yeah.
He's like the cool uncle you're trying to impress all the
Yeah.
time.
All the time.
For
He will
sure.
never lose that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
oh man.
totally.
Our last question is, do you guys like each and individually? I want to answer from it if that's cool. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists, like people that want to like
Want
cut
to
their
be
teeth
you.
and yeah?
when we used to get this question all the time, and I used to always say, like, don't try. I'd like just don't try too hard. And I still think that's to a certain extent that I feel that way. I think what I mean is don't expect anything and just do exactly what you want to do. And if that lasts for more than a couple of years and you see some incline and you haven't crashed and burned yet, you're doing something right. And then once it's time, once people are behind you and you got a group of people that support you, you start thinking about like what you actually want to do, and then maybe take it a little more seriously. But if you're just starting a band, don't expect anything, because we didn't, and I could have never expected this. If I would have been That would have been an egotistical thought to have because this is much better than I thought I could ever have gone.
That's
So
amazing.
that's my advice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. I know.
My piece of advice
Thanks.
is that piece of advice is
You can
good.
keep that.
You should listen to that.
Ditto.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd also say just trust yourself and just don't compromise your art, man.
Yeah.
And have fun. Don't try too hard. Just have fun and be honest and play live a whole lot.
Yeah, that's a big one. Play as many shows as you
Play as many shows as
Yeah.
you can.
constantly.
There's no shortcut with that.
Yeah, and just do your own thing. Don't worry about what people say. Just do your own thing and have fun with it, and it's all gonna be okay in the end.
Oh.
Maybe we don't know that.
You don't know for sure.
Some bad shit might happen. I don't know.
Oh man.
I like it.
Yeah. Good advice.
Yeah.
No, I'm all that applies with whatever I was gonna say, but I don't know. Like when it goes on for longer than a couple of years, and then like Mikey was saying, I don't know. I've gotten more reflective, and we haven't been doing this too long. I think like 7 years, which is a long time.
that's
in
a
some
long
in
time.
some. You know, when you're starting out, you don't think it's gonna be 7
That's
years.
all
but
of
in-
middle school and high school.
Yeah,
That
when you put it
is.
like that,
It's a long
that's
time. I mean,
it's a long
That's a really
time.
long time.
Yeah.
But like,
It's a long time.
you know, in the terms of your life, it can be like a short span. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Sure.
like,
Well, we don't know that
There's so
either.
much. Also, we don't know that. I just want to go on the record. Can you bleep all this out? No, I've so in a mere or long 7 years, I guess I've gotten like more reflective on like what all this is, and like a huge reward of this is just being able to see. To like grow with my best friends, you know,
Yeah.
like watch them get better, shut the fuck up, and like that's something, you know, like you'll forget. I forget shows and entire tours all the time.
Yeah.
but like you never really forget like
The friendship.
getting to
The
grow-
warm
the
embrace
friendships,
of
getting
your
to grow
best
with
friend.
people, and
Yeah.
like it's really cool, and like you can have that relationship with like anyone you make music with, anyone you meet through doing this, and like just. Don't take any of that for granted. It's really, really cool. Even if you don't think it's going that well, like you get to meet, you know, so many amazing new people, and you get to do
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
On that note, I used to ask Mark all the time because he went to college.
With
and
his big brain.
Yeah, with a big brain Mark over there. He went to college, and I always thought when we first started this band and we were going on tour, when he started joining the band, I was like, hey, do you think like I missed out? Do you think we missed out on the college experience? Like, do you think we missed out on the parties and all that stuff?
Oh, man.
And his answer was he was like, dude, he's like, no, we get all the best part of everything I did at school without having to worry or study or do all that stuff. It's only the fun parts. And
Oh
I
my
always
God.
worried I was missing out because I
Yeah.
thought that'd be a cool part of my life was to go to college.
oh my
and do the
god.
whole
I mean,
thing.
like
But it's easily, now that I've seen people go through
Yeah.
school multiple times, it's like, this is nothing I want. And I'm not in debt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my god.
Well, I'm in debt, but
Oh,
not,
man.
not
You're
that
in
much.
Yeah,
in
but not
debt.
to college.
Yeah.
Not college
Can we stop talking
Yeah,
about
that
student debt,
lasts for
please?
30 years. It's like a mortgage.
Yeah, no, straight up. So I just wanted to add
Yeah.
that to Mark's thing because he was a motivator of continuing this because it was like, oh man, I thought it'd be cool to have the dorm thing and all that.
So to be clear,
Dude,
we're
still got
an
time, dude.
anti-college band.
No.
Anti-higher education.
We would love
I
to
was
play
at
at your
the
school.
community college too.
Yeah, Mesa.
I mean,
That's right.
Yeah, Mesa, Miramar.
Yeah.
It's true though. The best parts of both of these things are getting to meet people, and
Yeah,
that's
100%.
like,
Yeah.
and so no one has lost out. You know, like I got to meet a bunch of amazing people through school. These guys, you know, got to meet, and we all get to meet a bunch of amazing people there. So it's it's nothing lost. It's just how you go about like a few years of your life. It doesn't matter in the long run. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what's up with that.
That's awesome.
What's your advice, Jordan?
Jordan.
It's your wisdom.
Man, advice to an aspiring musician. I mean, I guess it kind of plays into what you guys are saying. Don't expect something, but also be ready to kind of work your ass off for nothing, and just kind of do it because you love it. Like you really, I know it's a generic thing to say, but you have to do it for that reason, or else you're going to burn out real quick. I've seen a lot of people come and go, think they want to go on tour, think they want to do this, but you know, if it's just there's certain kind of people that can handle it and can't, you know, and you'll find that out quick. I would say just go on a tour.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out real quick.
Oh yeah.
You know, put your money into it. Put your have it fall on you, and it can be a really humbling experience. And all the other stuff, how to get signed or get all this stuff. That stuff is just purely magic in the air. Like that's just chance. That's just life.
Yeah.
Like my best advice is just work your ass off. Be as many places as you can be, and that gives you more chances of being seen by a label or that's just common sense stuff. Just be more places in front of more people.
Amen.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Amen.
Amen.